Hello and welcome back to Crazy Kernel YouTube. Just like promised in my previous trailer for the newest playlist, Information Technology, which is actually this is my first video on it. So that's something new, and be sure to like this video for more videos on this. So like it to let me know that you like information technology videos. So let's get started now. So I did this document so I can map out what I was gonna say. So basically, information technology or IT is basically the same thing is sorted out into two categories. One is software and one is hardware. So first we're gonna go over software. So apps, games, and other programs are all a part of software. And software is commonly applied when dealing with programming. So software is like it's the opposite of hardware. So basically it's like apps, coding, programming, games, any other programs as well. So basically it's like anything with a program or anything with programming, anything apps, games, so those kind of stuff. So that's what software is. On the other hand, hardware is commonly applied when dealing with computer parts. Activities such as building computers is related to hardware. So basically, the you can see the difference now. So software is like programming, while hardware is like taking a computer part, like say it's a graphics card, a CPU, a process, a hard drive, a SSD, a heatsink, any other like any computer hardware. I think it can be any other electronic hardware as well. It doesn't really have to be computers. So they're all part of information technology. So if I'm building a computer, that would be hardware. While rather than if I'm coding something, programming something, which would be software. And also for more programming videos, be sure to check out my Python programming, which is a totally different playlist. It should appear right in my home screen. So just saying that. Okay, so now my next question. Where exactly is IT used in the real world? So IT is used everywhere in the real world, even companies such as fast foods and restaurants. So how this can be, you might thinking, is because you might be thinking like a food restaurant, fast food, right? How can I have any IT when you're just gonna be cooking rather than programming, right? But behind the scene, every company always will have some kind of data to store, which is pointing toward the software portion of IT. So basically, what this means is if I'm in a fast food, if I have to keep a database of all different kinds of meals I have and the prices, that is data, and we'll be going over more of that in the next section right here. But anyway, basically, you still will always have data, which when you're using a database, you'll have to use some kind of coding software or coding language to access the data. So we'll be going more on that in this section. But anyway, for now, um, pointing toward the software portion of IT, since data is usually stored in a database using some kind of database programming languages such as SQL or any other database language. So, well, it's actually not even here, it's in here itself. So basically, this explains it all. A database also does use is actually still programming languages. So there are many programming languages just to access a database. So there are just regular programming languages like C, Java, Python, and many others, but there are also different kinds which are used for accessing database. One of them is SQL. There are also there are also many other database programming languages, but I just gave an example of SQL in this one. So next section here, what do I do in an IT job position? So, while there are many IT positions with different tasks, they all have tasks that rely on each other. For example, if I am in a game developing industry and I am programming a game, there still be there still will be some data needed for the programming. In this example of making games, say that there are some high scores that need to be reported to make a high scored leaderboard online. These scores will have to be recorded inside a database. With that being said, database languages can be written inside a regular programming language. So this right here, what it basically, so I'm going to give an example later. So right here is the example. A good example is that SQL, which is a database language, can be written inside Python, which is a regular programming language, obviously. So basically, instead of going back and forth from the SQL management studio and then back to my code of Python, you can actually do SQL inside Python. And you can also do other database languages, I guess, inside Python. I'm again just using SQL and Python as a example because that's what I work with and that's what I know. So basically, this is a regular programming language and this is a database language. So basically, SQL is used to access databases, which can be used inside a regular one. So that's pretty neat. Instead of going back from the management studio back to my um, Python page, so it basically makes it much easier. So after that, let's see. But there are some major job tasks in IT in general. So basically, the main general ones are database accessing, regular programming, file transfer, and many more. So basically, my example of here when I was in the game making industry and about the high scores, that example was my point of saying regular programming does rely on database accessing. So basically, there are many posts: regular programming, database accessing, file transfer. There are many more, but they all rely on each other. It's like one can't be possible without the other. Like not necessarily, but it's kind of like that because see, if I do a regular program, in this case I give the game making industry example, it's still gonna have some kind of data which is accessing. And that's pretty much it for my slide. So be sure to subscribe, be sure to like, and this is my first ID video. Please be sure to like if you like it for more videos on this, and that's how you let me know by liking it. Be sure to subscribe, and thanks for watching. And as always, see you next time on Crazy Colonel YouTube.